Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. Take your pick. This is Reed, and you're watching MOI. Today, I'm going to continue on with the Beginning Prepper series and prepping on a budget. Today, I want to talk about water. Now, since I'm out here in, Arizona, New Mexico, desert land, water is really high up on my list. It doesn't rain here very much. In fact, it's pretty irregular. So you have to have a lot of stuff set up for a very large rain catchment, wells, need to know where the basins are to get water, and be prepared for that. Finding water just randomly in a pool, there's only a couple places here and out of that. You got large distances between those areas, especially if you're out in the middle of nowhere. Water, big time important. And I wanted to cover some ideas for what you can do for water storage. Say you're like, hey, Reed, man, I barely got 2 pennies to rub together. My finances are super tight. I can't really afford to go out buying some crazy contraption for water storage. Well, here you go. People drink juice, tea, sodas, and all that. Grab them from your workplace when people are done with them. Get ready to toss them out. Stack them up. Clean them out. Take them home. When you get them home, rinse them out. Clean them up real good. Fill them with water. Stack it high. This will work. I mean, it's not the most perfect thing in the world, but it'll work just fine. Now, if you're thinking, how long is the water going to last in these? Doesn't really matter. It's water. Now, when they're talking about water going bad in containers, what they're actually talking about is the chemicals that the city puts in your water, the chlorine and stuff. Chlorine slowly gets less and less in concentration. Now, once it gets lower and lower, well, then suddenly, bacterial and stuff like that can grow inside of these, especially when exposed to light. Now, even if bacteria and stuff like that starts growing in these, all you need to do is boil it. Hey, and you got it killed off and it's purified and drinkable again. Yes, it takes more energy, but boiling isn't too hard, especially with us like a solar concentrator, especially where I'm at, where we've got sun out the wazoo. It works well. Now, the other thing you can do is you can go get one of those, camping filters where people use it, for filtering out water out of streams and all that. So if you worry these things get too old, then you can just filter them directly and then you can drink the water. And it works well. Now, how old is too old? Well, for me, I generally would say that based on the chlorine concentration where I'm at, the water is protected for probably about a year or 2. After that, I'm going to clean it up again. But I'm not really worried because it's not like the water that's been on this planet for, millennia is going bad and no one can drink it. It's not how it works. And the other thing you can do is, distillation, just to set up a solar still. Plenty of videos on YouTube that you can go watch about solar stills. I'll even make one later. You can see how to do that. But stacking these up, filled with water, cheap, easy solution. Works well. I recommend it. I save these for all sorts of other things too. You can put beans, rice, all sorts of stuff in there. Good thing. Plus, also a small container of this size has an added benefit. In case things got real ugly, barter size. Good thing to do. Plus, I also recommend stacking up on Ziploc bags for that exact purpose. Anyways, back to the topic. Now, let me show you one I didn't like for water storage. When I first got into doing preparedness, stuff like that, and was storing things for water, I bought these. They were in the camping section at Walmart. These things suck. I really don't like these things at all. One reason is, so you got this air hole here. You pop out to help, pour. Well, this thing always pops out. And this stuff is always getting exposed to the air and whatever else is going on. So I pretty much, if I'm storing this for a long time, I don't know why, but these things pop out all the time. I think it's because of the temperature differentials that sometimes cycle in the house just a little bit. Or it's goblins. It could be goblins. But this pops out constantly. It's very annoying. And so I'm going to have to, filter and boil these. The other thing I don't like about these is they really are unstable. They like to tip over real easy. And you can imagine if this thing is popped out, well, it's going to leak and pour all over you. I also find them a bit more hard to carry, move around, and stuff like that. They're not as friendly to the whole process. And they kind of work, but don't really like them. So if you're starting out looking for these, I don't recommend buying these ones. Now, I have about 4 of these things, and I'm not going to get any more, but I just keep them full up just in case I need them for any other purpose. But they're not my primary plan, so to speak. Like I said, I don't like them. So don't make this mistake. I don't recommend buying these. Now let me show you one I do like. This one I like quite well. It has a nice sealable air vent here. You just put it up. I found these at Walmart too later. I'd seen them on the web a whole bunch. I was like, oh, I need to order a bunch of those. Then they showed up at Walmart. I'm like, hey, great, I don't have to worry about paying for shipping. Because shipping can get really expensive on these larger items, as you can guess. Other thing that's pretty cool is they have a spout in here. You just unscrew it, flip it over, and it screws on the other side. Then you screw this back on. You can tip it on its side, open the vent, and then it dispenses water. Now, if you think about it, you can put this right over your Berkey, have a little stand, and you just pour it in your Berkey or other filter that you might use. Works great. I also really like the fact these things stack. Let me show you. I don't have this one full at the moment, so easier to move. They stack up, just like this. Now these things are real neat like that, is you can put 4 of them stacked up, put it on a dolly, move it around real easy. Works great. The other thing, since they got a nice base like this, they don't really tip over very well. They're nice, sturdy, and stable. If you got like one of those hand carts that, like a old radio flyer wagon, or a garden wagon, which is what I have, a garden wagon, used for stuff, you can load these up and haul them around. So like if you had to go a little ways to get filled up, you can do that. I like this. Now these weren't too bad. I think they were like 15 bucks. And I consider these money well spent. I keep several of these full all the time. The idea is if I have to evacuate, these are right by ready at the door, load them up, put them in the truck, put everything else in, get going. So I have water. Like I said, water out here is few and far between, so I make certain I go with quite a bit of water. I also keep water in my truck anyways, so when I'm driving around like that, if something happened and I'm not in cell phone reception range, I got some water to take with me to hike out if I have to. It happens. I'll tell you a story about one of my friends who had to build a bonfire trying to get attention for people to stop and pick him up. That's a story for another time. Then, of course, you see this barrel sitting here. This is another cheap method for water storage. Now, I found a guy that got these used ones. This one had organic, I think it was palm oil or something like that in it at one point, but it's food grade. And I bought this for a whole whopping $20, 55 gallons. Perfect for very large water storage. Now, I found the guy had a posting on Craigslist. There you go. Drove over to the city, saw him, picked up a whole bunch. I was like, yay, good deal. It is a good deal. Clean them up with some Dawn, spend a lot of time rinsing. You got a good thing for water storage. Works well. And you can also set them up for rain catchment, which we'll make some videos on showing how all that works. This is another real cost-effective made for a whole bunch of water. The only catch is with this, you get this thing full up, it's not exactly going with you very easily if you have to evacuate. So I recommend more man-portable items if you're going to have to do that and it's a concern for you. This is great for water storage around the house. Like I said, rain catchment, having to worry about the garden, providing for your own drinking water, sanitation needs, and so on in case of, interruption to the water supply. Very important. And I think this is a good size. Now, as you saw, I have the cisterns inside, and those actually hold 100 gallons. It's not a huge cistern of thousands of gallons. I'll get one of those eventually. But for now, that's what I kind of do. And like I said, I put in a well, so I also have a very large underground source of water for myself that I can use even if there's no water in the city itself. But if you have no money, get the juice containers like that. You can save 20 bucks or 30 bucks, get one of these, fill it up, set it aside. It's gonna get you through a lot of crises. Plus, as you know, like when you have floods and other stuff like that going on, water supplies get horribly contaminated because of all the sewage and everything else and chemicals that end up in the water supply or in all the water around it. The stuff isn't safe to consume very easily. You don't even know the origins of it or what could be in it. Having water stored up beforehand is a key thing to helping make a horrible situation bearable and getting through it. Plus, you can also help your neighbors and friends out if needed. I hope you learned something. I hope this was informative, get you started thinking about water storage and some ideas behind it. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave me some comments. I'm always interested to hear what people think, what they want to know next. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day. And this is Reed, out for now.